Hey, I'm Mindy Kinnis. This is the Daily Rage. In this video, I'm going to answer a question from Mark that we've been talking about over the last couple of days regarding Apex. And then we'll do an overview of the markets, take a look at where we're at and what might be happening as we go into next week. So Mark says, this is what I was asking you about. And he sent along this image from Apex. This is directly from Apex. I'm forwarding this to you, so perhaps you might offer a different response to my original question, which was, what suggestions do you have in getting past this PA level? Okay, first, let's just make sure everybody's on the same page with this whole trailing threshold thing. As Karen, if that's how you pronounce this guy's name, says, the 50,100 level is the maximum amount that the trailing drawdown will trail on a PA account. It will start at 47,500. So in other words, we've been talking about how you have $2,500 in that 50K account as your trailing threshold, and it will trail up to 50,100 at its maximum. In other words, that's when it stops. What that doesn't mean, just to like drill this in, it doesn't mean that, let's say you start with $50,000 and on your first day of trading, you place a trade, you go long, you hit your target, which is set at $200 profit. So you take that money off the table, you lock in your 200 bucks, and now your account balance would be at 50,200. That doesn't mean that if you go down to 50,100, if you just lose $100, you're screwed. It doesn't mean that at all, because again, there's a difference between your account balance and your trailing threshold balance. If you locked in that $200, that was the first trade you took on that account, your trailing threshold would go from 47,500 only up $200. So now your trailing threshold balance would be at 47,700. So you would still have between the 47,700 and your 50,200, that's still $2,500 worth of space for your trailing threshold. So just wanted to clarify that. Once again, I know that it can be confusing. A lot of people struggle with this whole trailing threshold thing. And to go into his question, what suggestions do you have in getting past this PA level? Well, I have a whole course on my strategy of working with Apex and working with the trailing threshold. So one, that's more than I would go into in a free daily video. And two, that wouldn't be very fair to all the people in the Daily Rage community that have paid for that course. So if any of you are looking for specific strategies, you can always take a course. You can take my course, you can take someone else's course. My course is on sale right now for 50% off with the coupon code FUNDED, but you certainly don't need to take a course. I didn't take any course on how to pass Apex. I just struggled my way through it and figured it out eventually. Now, if someone had given me some guidance in the beginning about how to do this, would it maybe have gone a little smoother? Probably. It's likely that that is the case. If you can kind of learn from the mistakes of other people, that is, a really great way to go through life and not have to do them all yourself. I tend to be very stubborn myself, and I tend to make a lot of my own mistakes and then learn from them along the way. So that is one of the reasons that I became a teacher, became a coach. So I'm like, you guys, I have made all these mistakes. Please, please, please learn from what I did wrong, so hopefully you can save yourself a little bit of struggle. But if any of you out there happen to be more like me, you're going to go for the struggle anyway. So whichever way you decide to do it, it's all good on my side. Okay, so let's take a look at these markets because it's been a little wild and crazy over this last week. That's how I like it. So we did take out this first target to the high side on the Dow. We had our lows way down here at this like just crazy drop from the other day. So let's do this. We didn't have a whole lot of range today. What was the range? 291 out of a normal 523. So that's not very exciting. Let's go there. Let's just switch these up. All right, let's go here and here. So up top here, your first target would be 38,638. That is if it continues up. It is still below the cloud though, and in between the turning line and the standard line, which can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. Also, as a reminder, next week is FOMC, so that could potentially shake things up a bit. We'll have to wait and see what happens. All right, let's take a look at the S&P. This is the micro. And man, that is just brutal because these days, this candle right here, this daily candle is just a doji. those are one of the most difficult days to trade. So if you were trading the S&P and you were profitable today, congrats to you because that is not easy. That being said, we totally busted through all of these targets. So let's get these higher up. Let's line it up with that standard line right there, about 51.48. This one can come way up here. Still stuck in the cloud though, so we'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens again next week. Let me move that up just a scotch more. Cool. All right, that looks good for the S&P. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Thankfully, not a doji, but not much more than a spinning top. So again, we'll use this standard line as our next target, 17,912, followed by up here at 17,984. And then we start working our way back way up, above this cloud, but we got to get through the cloud before we can even really talk about that. I'm going to use approximately this turning line, and then we can bump this one up to about there. We'll call that good, but I would just wait until there is some confirmation of direction next week. All right, the M2K, this one's looking pretty nice today. Nice green day. Gonna go here, and next target up will be here. So 2024 followed by 2062. It does have to get, through this overhead resistance, then into the cloud first. So that's maybe asking a lot. We'll see how it goes. We'll leave this one as is. That's a pretty big spike down. So we will use it to our advantage to see what is going on. All right, micro Bitcoin. This one didn't really do anything today. We had an even smaller range than yesterday. And in the cloud, not really going anywhere at this point. We can flip-flop these guys to here and then just bump this guy up. Grab a couple more of those wicks right there. Call that good. Micro ETH, similar situation, although below the cloud, not doing very well. We'll use the turning line here. We'll bump this one up to there. For the high side, let's see where we're at. Since we ended the day down today, I'll just use yesterday's high as target one. It would have to get back through that. And then we go up here, or you could just use the standard line, whichever one you prefer. All right, jumping down to gold. Also, weak sauce on the range today. After this huge, massive sell-off that was on Monday, we've kind of just been chilling in this vicinity, although we did make a higher high today just from, the past few days. So let's do this. Let's bring this down here. Let's bring this down here. Oh, I like that level a lot. To bounce, bounce. Love it. Okay, these guys top, let's use the turning line, and then we can just use where that one was. All right, that looks great for gold. I feel like I'm going to say this about every single one today. It's like, we'll have to wait and see. FOMC is coming up next week. So put your seatbelts on. All right, let's go down here. This is silver, by the way, and let's go here. We can bring this guy down. And especially, I'll show you guys one thing that I tend to look at. Sometimes I will use the current day's candle, and I'll just use the top or the bottom of the wick of that exact day. And one of the reasons why I might do that is this is a great example of like when I would do that is if, yes, we did get that high, but then we really just kind of went down for most of the day, and we ended up further from this high than this low. So in that case, like it'll have to do more work to get itself back up to that high. So that's why I would use that as target one. We can make this a little bit easier and make this target two, approximately that turning line right there. As for the low side, again, we can like tighten this up pretty close. We'll bring that up there for target one to the short side, and then target two we'll keep right there. Moving on to micro copper. This one looks amazing. So where it got to today, you can see right here, it is quite a bit of resistance, and that's exactly where it stopped today. So of course, this one is super simple. We can just move this up to here. But then what else do we have? And that is all the data that I have right now. So we're going to just go with it for today. I don't want these videos to be like half an hour long, so we'll just call it good with that. We can move these guys on the bottom though. That's a really nice touchdown and then bounce off from that turning line right there. That's lovely. And then like this a little bit better. Let's go right there for the short side. But like I said, this looks really strong. That looks great. Way above the cloud, above the parabolic SAR. Lagging line looks really good. So that is awesome. And wrapping it up with micro crude, we did get a new recent high, but then couldn't sustain it, pulled back just a bit. But even that, kind of a small range today. So let's do this. Let's bring this one up to here. Let's bring this up. We'll just kind of get those in position. This, I'm going to keep all of that exactly the same. So that is what we are looking at. Essentially, not much until we get some more information. Next week, FOMC is on Wednesday. So make sure to play it safe, especially in the days prior to Wednesday and on Wednesday leading up to the FOMC announcement, because it can get a little sketchy to trade during those days. Have an awesome weekend. I'm Mindy Kinnis. Thanks so much for watching.